more of a gulp than a slurp. Sorry about that. Or not sorry for those of you who hate the slurp. Anyway, hope you G's are doing good. I was thinking today to do a little, continuing on our little mixing and mastering week. There's been a few comments recently about sidechaining and how I do them, and I was just preparing a little sidechain video, and I just stumbled across a great little trick that you can do with the Lfo tool to improve your sidechain sort of tightness. So anyway, we're going to get into that in a moment, but just a couple of comments as always. Slurpty diddly derp big G from Mike. I agree with the comment on sidechaining. I've watched your tutorial and the 808 sidechain, was wondering if you do that with snare and hi-hats. Yeah, I'm going to go into that in a moment. Adimas, thank you for writing as well. Something about take that. I'm not quite sure what you mean, but thanks for writing. Darotum, I use clip to zero also, but do you not run into unwanted distortion when you clip the mix bus? I've been using a Pro L2 output at minus 0.01 and it seems much cleaner. No, not particularly. As long as you have got your volume levels right in the particular in your groups and your channels, you know, if you end up bringing things too high in volume to the point where the clipping will distort them, then you're running into a problem. But the idea is that you gain things into a clipper just enough until just before they start to distort, and that's how I find my balance. Blips, haven't heard it from you for a while. Says, reeled me in with the slurp, kept me here with the Bible verse. I always throw garlic cloves behind me before I produce, helps ward off vampires. Very good, you're all on the same page then. Nathan Holmes says, could be wrong, but think mastering engineers do this because of inter-sample peaks. Well, you might be right. You might be right there, sir. Yes, do another sidechain EP, please. I'm about to do that. Says Kurz, thank you. Philip Marshall says the video could have been less than 2 minutes long, rambling waste of time. Yeah, thank you for writing anyway. I appreciate you. B says very helpful, dude. I have actually overlooked this due to the lack of knowledge resulting in a poor mix regarding the mix clarity video. Yeah, all those sort of frequencies from 500 hertz and below are ridiculously important, and you've got to be very, very careful with how you fill up the spectrum. Gurgle1 says, damn, what is this? Someone please tell me, loving this mix and your teaching videos, referring to the label mix, so thank you, sir. So, as I was producing today and preparing this video, I've narrowed things down to keep it nice and simple and easy, and all we've got is a lovely little bass line and a kick and a clap, and then a little response bass for later, okay? And so this is how I do, sometimes my sub will be separate from my mid bass, sometimes they'll be together in the same one. In this one, they're already together in the same bass, so I haven't like separated the sub and the mid bass. And to start by sidechaining the kick to the bass here, I'm personally going to use the Lfo tool because, like I mentioned before, when you draw in the volumes, okay, like the volume shaping, it's a bit faster and more accurate than using a sidechain compressor, using a compressor with a sidechain, because what you have to do with that is you have to give the software a chance for it to like notice the input, then bring the sidechain down, and it's just like gonna always result in latency, in my opinion. So it won't always have the most direct and quickest, most accurate up and down motion than if you just automate the volume. Okay, so here is how I do it, and there's no right or wrong, obviously, but the way that I sidechain with the Lfo tool and the cool little tip that I just found now is I will draw in the gaps exactly where the kicks are, okay, and then we're just going to play with the length of the gaps and also the amount of how much we're going to bring them down. So the cool thing that I just discovered is, and it's obviously it makes kind of sense, but if you actually were to go to your kick and make the side chain on there first, okay, so draw it in where the kicks are, you know, on the kicks, and you can hear that you've got the exact right positions, you know, because what will happen sometimes with the LFO tool when I see other students using it, I have a really obvious grid. I can see the lines on here, so it's easy for me to draw in exactly where the kicks happen. But for some people, it doesn't really show up like that on their LFO tool. And by the way, if you don't have the LFO tool and you don't want to pay for a plugin, you can use the free plugin from Melda Production, which is the M Tremolo, and it'll do the same thing. It's just a little bit more clunky the way you have to draw it, but you can use that M Tremolo, and you can like draw in the same volume sidechaining shape here. It just looks a bit more like difficult to use. I actually use this on my other laptop because I don't have the LFO tool on my other laptop, but that would give you the exact same effect, and you can apply this same technique. But I'll go back to the LFO tool for now. And yeah, actually drawing it like on the kicks, you can hear that you've taken the kick out, so you've got the timing right on all the gaps. Okay, you set the rate down here to 1 bar. You know, assuming that after every 1 bar, the kick pattern is going to be the same. You know, if it's more complicated, you're going to have to do a bit more work in drawing things in, you know, using another LFO tool, or you know, you have to find a little workaround. But usually it's quite simple to just do it at 1 bar, okay? And then that's like on the kicks, and you can hear that they've been taken down. So all I'm going to do is like just copy that, okay? And then we'll just turn that off, and then we'll go over to the bass one here. And then over here, I've already sort of done it here, but I'll just paste it in, and then I've got it ready on the bass now. So now it's going to sidechain in exactly the right position because I've already made it, you know, by ducking the kicks, you know. Okay, so this is the key thing then, is all about the length of the gaps, you know. So you want to find a nice balance with the kick, and the best way that I like to do get the balance right with the kick is I actually like to use 2 side chains. So I'll use the first one here, and I'll do the first one like the gaps a little bit shorter, okay, but pretty much at like 100% or so on the amount here. So that first main sort of transient and impact of the kick is definitely being ducked like all the way, baby. and then after that, we're gonna copy it over and do it again, but this time we're gonna make them longer, like the gaps. We'll make them really, really long to account for the whole body and length of the kick, yeah. And we're gonna go on to other side chains after the kick side chain in a moment. But we're just going to make that tail, like the gap really, really longer for the tail of the kick, okay? Now it's obviously really, really choppy because I'm taking out loads of audio from the bass, okay? But here I'm going to mix the volume down, so it's just going to be a lot less volume coming down on the bass. I might just go to like 20 or 30%. And you've got to mix this with your ears, obviously, and find the right balance. But now I've got 2 side chains for my kick. The first one, the real beginning part of the kick, really ducking down almost all of the volume from the bass there. And then the second one, doing a little bit more of a longer gap to let the body of the kick come through a bit more, but not taking the volume down all the way. So we've got 2 ways to shape the body and the attack of the kick on 2 separate side chains, and that's how I like to do it. You can also go ahead and do some multi-band if you just. This is a case where it could be a good idea to do a multi-band side chain because there's all the high end on the bass still in there, you know? And maybe I don't want to like dip out all the high end, because technically, you know, I'm taking out the volume of the whole bass, including the high end, and I don't necessarily have to do that. I could just sidechain the lows, you know? So you kind of have to decide then how much of the kick you want to let through. For this one, I'm quite happy to just take down the whole volume and play with those parameters until they're perfect, and that would probably be fine for me for this case. Because I really like to let the kick have like a lot of clarity and really cut through the bass properly. So I don't mind doing it like that, you know. And then yeah, so we can do a similar thing with the clap as well. And with the clap, I tend to just do one really quick sidechain just for the transient of it. And so again, we could design it on the actual clap here and just, you know, set it to 1 bar again and find those spots where the clap is. And if you listen here, I've pretty much nailed it so that that transient of the clap has been taken off. You know, I found the exact position on the grid, and then once again I'll just copy that, turn this one off, go back up to the bass here, and then down here we've got another sidechain for our clap, and we'll paste that in. And this one, like the gaps are a bit long, so what I'm going to do is, again, as you just kind of saw before, I've just shortened them, and for the clap it's just really letting that little quick transient come through. That's all I'm really concerned with, you know. So if I want to go ahead and do a bit of multi-band sidechaining to get one bass to come up in the priority kind of structure over the other one, I'm just going to sidechain. I'm going to put the F6, the Waves F6, onto the one I want to bring down, and I'm going to select the input from the one that I want to become the one that goes on top, and I'm just going to select external sidechain mode, have the attack nice and low, release up at 100 or 200 or so, take the threshold down to a nice level, and just find a nice band here. A nice band that I want to dip down in the low end, and then I can keep some of the high end in of the main bass, but the low end will just be coming down for the new one. And that's how I do the multi-band sidechaining. And again, that's just with the Waves F6 because that's what I have, but you can do that as equally effectively with the Waves Factory track spacer, which is what most of my students have and use. It's quite cheap to buy, I don't own it, but if you don't have that, you can also try using the masker, the free one I made a video about recently. The only problem with this one is it's kind of like a free version of track spacer essentially, but just have to be careful when you're using it because sometimes the sound sort of changes a bit, I've noticed. So it's not necessarily the cleanest plugin that I've used, but it has worked sometimes. Just be careful with it. Yeah, that's basically it for the multiband part. So that's this part wrapped up then. Okay, pretty nice and simple. Yeah, just to wrap up then, you know, having control with more than one sidechain is super useful because sometimes one just isn't enough. Even if you like really sidechain it a lot, sometimes later on in the mix down, you'll notice that you might actually need to do another one, which is fine. You know, it's like EQing. Sometimes you don't get all the low end out when you EQ the low end out, and you have to do it again. It's a sculpt. We're always sculpting, you know. So you can use sidechaining in a sculpting kind of sense. You can use it like repetitively if you need to. But yeah, that's how I would do those ones really. That's how I do my sidechains, to be honest. Not super complicated. Lfo tool is definitely the one for me. And yeah, cool little technique I've just stumbled across in case you're struggling with drawing the exact moments, you know, where the kicks and snares happen. Do it directly on the kick and snare channel first, and you'll hear exactly that you've taken out the right part. Then copy and paste it over onto the bass channel, and then just mix it in on the volume. Change the lengths of your gaps to suit. Thank you for watching, my G's. I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial today. Yes, also my G's, I've got a new track coming out this Friday called Charmer. It'll be on my Spotify. Have you guys subscribed or followed my Spotify as well? You can do it via the link up there. Leave us a comment down below what your current favourite track of mine is on Spotify, if you listen to my music, that is, of course. And then tomorrow we're going to continue with our mixing and mastering little week tutorial series, and I'm going to go into some extra special EQing tips tomorrow. So I'll see you guys then. Peace out. Ciao, ciao.